with Mr. Will Ramirez, the owner and I assume founder of Will Development, current strongman, heart surgery survivor, and we're here to discuss his career, his inspirations, how we met, and I'm assuming how you've persevered since you've overcome open heart surgery. So take it away, Will.
Well, you certainly give me an entrance. I'm just some guy at the end of the day. But for those who don't know me, I am Will from Will Development. And yes, I did start it. The company, if you want to call it that, has evolved into a stone making company. But I run, good lord, but I run a YouTube channel that I've run for about 6 years, 5 or 6 years now. And the most that I do with it is I do a weekly vlog where every Friday night I record a video and I talk about how my week went. And over the years, I've evolved. When I first started the channel, I was mostly on like a weight loss journey sort of thing. I was up in the 30s and I got all the way down to 165 at my lightest. But I was useless. I wasn't strong. And then now over the years, I've built myself back up. And for instance, this morning I weighed about 206 pounds. And I'm pretty strong. I mean, I'm not anything to write home about, but I'm definitely stronger than I was. And from the channel, I kept the same name, and like I said, I do make Atlas stones and pressing blocks, and my neighbors are having a good time out there. I make Atlas stones, which if you don't know what those are, look up like World's Strongest Man, big spherical boulders that they lift and put up on stuff. I am basically Florida's only maker, which makes me the best, but I call myself the best stone maker in Florida. So far, nobody's challenged me. So yeah, that's kind of that's
So Will, what got you into Atlas stone making, and how's that coming along for you? As I know you do that alongside competing for strongman, right?
yeah. So in 2000, probably 2015 now, maybe even 2016, I started. I was living in an apartment, about 21, 22, and I started watching some fitness YouTube stuff, and I found this guy named Elliot Holtz, and I saw him lifting these Atlas stones, and I said, "That is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I have to do that." And I tried making my first stone, which I actually still have it in my backyard now, and it came out terrible. It was just awful. The thing just looks just just god awful. It's terrible. And I said, well, me, so I need to do better. And so I started making more of them, but the molds for them, the big spheres that you put the concrete into, cost money. Cost a lot, actually. They're a pretty steep investment if you just plan on making one. And so when I bought the one, I said, I'm going to start selling these to make money and just at least pay for the molds. Cut to years later now, I have every single mold that Slater's Hardware offers. And I have sold stones to world champions, both past, present, and hopefully future. And it was really cool because I think last year it came full circle. And Elliot Holtz, the guy I got the ideas to start making from, he lives in St. Petersburg, Tampa area, Clearwater, here in Florida. And he actually contacted me, and I made 3 stones for him. So I made everything just came all full circle. And that's an awesome experience. Being able to make them. Basically, the reason that I'm making
That is that is awesome, man. Like there's always that one individual that kind of helps jumpstart your career, or your you know I remember when to kind of go back into it. I remember when we first met in high school. You would always talk about your idols like Triple H and and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and you always try to kind of imitate their workouts. However, I mean, as you get older, like Triple H, for example, he doesn't look as ripped as he used to be because age it really hit him hard. I mean, you could tell by the previous couple years how his body's just it's gone downhill. You know, it's gone downhill. His metabolism slowed down because you can see him with that little gut. You know, people thought, oh, he's juicing, taking steroids, but he's always been natural. He's always been a natural guy. So, um,
Maybe. I'll say that.
yeah, I mean, natural. I mean, we can't say they're fully natural because
It
at
wouldn't
some
surprise me
point,
if your boy was at least on TRT. I'm not going to throw out steroid accusations on anybody without definitive proof, but it wouldn't surprise me if he was on some testosterone replacement therapy.
I mean, and for you, you started out, I guess having minimal equipment at the house, and I guess as years went by in high school, you kind of got really into it because I remember you used to start out, working at harvest time and used to work at a warehouse and used to lift heavy boxes and heavy equipment. And I guess that was your way of kind of getting started with heavy lifting, and you eventually uh, developed a passion for it. And I know when we met, it was so I, I don't know how to describe it. It was kind of awkward because I remember getting on the bus. We used to ride the quote unquote short bus with the Mr. A. Shout out to him. I hope he's doing well. And we missed the guy. We used to like the guy. He was awesome. I remember he used to be real quiet. I guess I turned around that one day we met and started talking. Your face is like, why is this guy talking to me? What does he have to do with
Too early.
like can he just turn around? It's too early. It's too early, man. Too early. So, and eventually we developed a bond, in terms of what we like, what we had in common. Uh, I remember when you first told me about your heart condition, so that was really cool. And we became close ever since. I mean, I wish we could become, closer as far as friendship, but we got jobs and stuff, you know. But
Being
we
adults
still
and being friends is
talk.
tough sometimes, because
And
we both work,
um,
and then with my schedule, it's just wild. Even setting this up,
yeah, it's nuts.
it's today. Is it today though?
Yeah, you put 10 on. I'm like, wait a minute. I meant today, Saturday, 10:10, and you're like, oh wow, I accidentally put 10:9 on there, thinking it was 10:9. Because if you would have called me yesterday, I would have been at work. I'm like, oh wait a minute, I'm at work right now and I can't answer. But
Oh yeah, yeah.
we
Same.
we all get stuff mixed up. Um, let's see. I know that you've had I mean, I would say a pretty successful career so far with I know you were at the Road to Valhalla not too long ago, right? You competed there?
Where?
The Road to Valhalla, which is in Miami, right?
No, I don't. The competitions I've done this year were the Summer Scorcher. Um, no, I'm sorry, that was last year. This year I've done Orlando's Strongest, which was in February, and I had some sort of cold or something the day of, which was just awesome. I got like 3 hours of sleep the night before. It was great. I had a great time. And then I had two other comps planned for this year, and as we all know, things happen, and so I couldn't do those because they got canceled and postponed until next year. And then I just did the Highlands game strongman sort of hybrid show just last month, I think, maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks ago, and that was a good show. And then I've got Tampa Bay Strongest, which I've seen 6 years in a row. I did the Stones for them last year, and then this year I'll be competing. That's in about 2 weeks.
So what has been the biggest highlight of your career so far?
You know,
What is your biggest?
so one of the things I try to preach the most, I'm going somewhere with this, I promise. One of the things I preach the most on my channel and basically every week on my weekly updates is consistency is going to. I'm not very competitive in my weight class. I compete in 200s if I compete in USS or in strongman form, which are the two big divisions in strongman in America. I'm not very competitive in terms of strength. There's a lot of people that are way stronger than me, but consistency is going to win the day. And so when I say what's been my highlight, the the coolest thing that I've done so far in my strongman career is at Florida, or I'm sorry, Orlando, when I competed in February. Even though I was sick and messed up, it was the very first comp I didn't zero a single event. And what that means is when you zero an event, it means you couldn't complete one rep, you couldn't even start the event. If it's an overhead lift, you couldn't press it. And that was the first show that I didn't zero a pressing event, and it was also the first show I didn't zero any event. Now I did come in dead last, but I was like right there to not be. So that was awesome. And then the Highlands game comp I just did, that was a fun one, and I came in like fifth or something in novice division. I felt fine about it, honestly. That was also the first time I've ever come not last. So going to Tampa's, I have some more hopes. I know some of the people that are going to be competing there in my division. Not a lot of them. Most of the guys I knew jumped up a weight class. Cool, stay up there. I don't want to lose you anyway. But some of the names I do recognize. All right, I think I can do better than this person or that person. My goal going in to Tampa is going to be don't zero anything. Just at least get a point on the board for each event. And if I do that, I can walk away. I say that, but every comp you look back on it and you go, I probably could have put a little bit more effort into X, Y, or Z. I did that with Orlando's. I did that with the Highlands comp. I did that with the Summer Scorcher that I did last year. After some of the events, I said, I should have been able to do this better. Could have. I, for some reason, held back. You know what I mean? But that's what competing is, and that's what consistency is. Just a little bit better every week, every hour, every day, and it just compounds. Just a little bit every time. There are no small things. It's all just tiny little habits you do every day, and that's how you build a pyramid.
That's awesome, man. So to kind of continue on with the subject, what what inspires you and motivates you to compete? Like, do you have any like idols, any like friends, just in general?
Well,
Is-
it's along the lines. So when I first got into fitness, I was more interested in bodybuilding. I find the sport, art, whatever you want to call it. I don't feel like it's that debate right now. I find it fascinating. There's something about these freaks getting on stage with just the most muscle packed on a 5'7" frame and weigh like 300 pounds, 1% body fat. It's like you shouldn't be able to do that. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of drugs and things like that involved, but it's still like to get to that point is amazing. And over the years, I haven't lost my love for that part of fitness, but I've moved more towards strongman. And to answer the question, of course, I have idols. I always look up to the big freaks of nature, like everybody else does. Guys like Brian Shaw, people that came from the past, like Bill Kazmaier was a great American competitor. Tom McGee, whose name I don't think said enough. That's okay. But when it comes to someone like me in part of my career, if you want to call it that I'm in right now, I can't compare myself to those guys because the harsh burning reality is, and I'm a realist. I'm not being like, shoot for the stars or whatever. Like, yeah, that's great, guy, but I'll never be Brian Shaw. The man's 6'8", 400 pounds. You know, he deadlifts 1,000 pounds. He can throw a 60-pound barrel 15 feet in the air. That's never going to be. I'm 5'9", 5'8" after I run a yoke. You know what I mean? That's a strong man. And I'm never going to be him. So I try to compare myself to myself as much as possible. But when you start competing, you have no choice but to compare yourself to the people that are in your class. You know what I mean? So I compare myself to myself from yesterday and just try to be better than yesterday, last year, all that kind of stuff. And then once I do that, I say, okay, you've made progress, bro. You're doing good. Baby steps. You know, it's a marathon, not a sprint, yada yada. Then I have to compare myself to the other 200 guys that are the best in the world. Okay, he deadlifts 700 pounds. He overhead presses 300. He can do a 400-pound stone, and he weighs in at 200 pounds. So because of that, I set my goals ridiculous. I want to deadlift 800 someday. I want to pick up a 450-pound stone. I want to overhead press 370. You know what I mean? So do I have my idols and people I look up to? Of course, you know, but I do my very best to not put human beings on pedestals very much because everybody's fallible. Me, you, everybody. You know what I mean? So I look towards their careers and I try to, you know, I guess fake it till I make it. One of those things. And I figure if I consistently fake it, eventually I'll make it.
I mean, that's all you can do. It's what a lot of people say. You know, you fake it till you make it, right? Just keep going, just keep pushing, even though you don't feel good one day. Um, you you uh you just keep going. You don't quit. It's like you trying to quit in the middle of a set when you're almost there towards your goal and you're already spent, but you realize you get that one more set or that one more rep done, the workout and the payoff is all worth it.
Yeah, you know, it's funny you say that. I just talked about that yesterday during my weekly update where I'm training for Tampa's, and one of the events is an incline log press, which is a little different. Normally in strongman, you do a standing overhead press with a log, and it's just what it sounds like. It's a big metal tube, you know, usually 10 or 11 inches in diameter, and it starts on the floor. You pick it up, put it in your lap, and you roll it up your chest, and you press it overhead. This one's a little different. You're laying on an inclined bench, and it starts on. He's going to start on boxes, plyometric boxes, you know, and you have to roll it up your chest, and you're laying back and you're pressing it overhead that way. Just to explain what the event is for people who might not know. And I was training it, and at the comp, the weight's going to be 200 pounds for reps. And when I first started 3 weeks ago training for this comp, I signed up super late, which is not like me. Normally, I sign up for a comp the day entry's open, just so I can get rid of any chance that I back out, that kind of thing. Because once you pay them money, you won't invest it. So I signed up late because I had a few guys that were just like, just do it, just do it. And I was like, all right, Nike, I guess I'll do it. And so I signed up late, but I couldn't even do 160 when I first started training for it. Now, 3 weeks later, I was doing 10 sets of 3. This was on Friday with 180. And I was doing them every minute on the minute because it was my lighter day for training. And I talked about it on my video where my first set, I got my 3. My second set, I got my 3. Third set, got my 3. Fourth set, only got 2. But instead of saying I'm done, fifth set, I got my 3 again. And then sixth set, seventh set. And then eighth set was a little rough. I only got 1 on that. Clean. And then 9 and 10, and I got my 3s again. So I didn't necessarily get all 30 reps that I wanted for the day on that movement, but just because I had one set that was bad, it was like, you know, let's stick to the plan. I know I'm capable of this. And you know, that's I mean, Arnold kind of talked about that where he said that 10, 11, 12 rep is the rep that separates you from being a champion and not. And honestly, the gym part of everything is the easy part. You go in and it sucks You don't want to be there sometimes. This whole like, oh, I'm hyped and ready to go train. It's not like that all the time. After 7 months, after I mean, I've been doing it for 3 years. After 3 years of it, the allure wears off a bit. And sometimes you go in there, and you're just like, I just don't even want to be here. I'm not excited to be here. You need to sort of remind yourself why you're. And then a lot of times, that's the difference between a competitive person and a not competitive person, which I try to be a competitive person, which is I'll come in there and like I said, I had a bad start. Midway through the set, I had a bad go. But instead of saying, well, I'm done, I said, no, let's keep going. And then because of that, I'm going to reap those benefits. So it's like you said, one extra rep, one extra set, you'd be surprised what you're capable of if you push yourself a little bit. And just soft. It's not that hard. I mean, it's hard, but don't be be don't be weak-minded.
Like you mentioned, of course, your slogan, you've always believed in what's your excuse? Speaking about what's your excuse, how did you, I guess, how did you come up with that? What was your inspiration behind it? Talk to us a little bit about it. How did you come up with that?
Yeah, so when I first started my channel, I was recording the videos on a tiny little netbook, which if people don't know, a netbook is a tiny laptop. And I was recording the videos on the little webcam inside the screen on that thing. I'm not going to dog it. It allowed me to start the outlet. I'm glad to have actual cameras and stuff now. But when I first started it, the channel, I said I need some sort of slogan, some sort of phrase. Every YouTuber I was watching and trying to emulate to an extent, had their own style, had their own catchphrase, how they ended videos, even how they started videos. Every single video I start, a lot of people, Omar Issa, for instance, he's a big fitness YouTuber, and he always starts them with, "What's cracking, guys?" And then every other YouTuber in the world is like, "What's up, guys?" And I said I didn't want to be that, so I start all my videos usually with "How you doing?" Just because it's different. And that's just I went with it. And then I spent about 3 to 4 weeks trying to figure out what my end quote was going to be. What would be my signature final quote. And I remembered thinking actually about you. And I said, David's, he's got challenges and he's got his own issues that he has to work through for life, for training. And this guy's a Paralympic athlete, former, football player, flag football player. He still trains. He still lives a very normal life. And if he can do it, then what's my excuse? And I said, a lot of people don't realize, because I don't talk about it often, mostly because I don't like pity. And I don't like, oh, you poor thing, all that stuff. I don't like that kind of stuff. Just get away from it. No, I'm a normal dude. Just treat me normal. But obviously, I do have heart conditions I was born with, and it's something I have to get checked every year. I go to cardiology, yada yada. But my question eventually to the normal people out there that are strongmen or fitness enthusiasts, what's your excuse? You're over here. Everybody's got one. Everybody's got a reason why they can't, won't, and it's all just BS. None of it is really legitimate because it's like, okay, I could sit down and say I've got a heart condition, and because of that, I can't stress it too much. I can't, you know, do X, Y, or Z. But then it's like I look over at you and I see you killing it, and it's like, well, what the hell's my excuse? And then to me, you're a step further than I am. I don't want to use the phrase disability, but in terms of challenges in life. And it's like, compare me to a normal person, right? Well, they're just lazy if they're not biking. What is your excuse? Just tell me, because if you're not doing it, just be honest. And I can live with honesty. I appreciate honesty about anything. If you tell me to my face something that's brutally true, I might not be nice about taking it, but I will respect it a hell of a lot more than you just lying or telling me everything's all right. And it's like, so, I'll be training with people now, and sometimes they'll, oh, my this hurts, my that hurts. Look, when you do strongman training, and you do any kind of training, you're going to be sore. At some point, you're going to be hurt, not necessarily injured. There's a difference. But just because you're hurt or tired, there's no reason to not do it. And so whenever somebody starts doing that at the gym, I always just kind of pull the shirt down and just show off the scar, and I go, what's that you're crying about right now? And it's my way of saying, you need to shut up and get through this. And if I ever catch myself, I mean, honestly, not to massage your ego too much, but I think of you. If I'm lazy, David's probably over there killing it. If he can kill it, then why can't I? And so that's sort of the
Yeah,
evolution, the long answer where that.
exactly. I mean, I appreciate the compliment. It's an honor. It's an honor to be told that I was part of the main reason why you began the quote. What's your excuse? Like you said, you could be sitting down, showing self pity, feeling sorry for yourself, but you as an individual have a whole world out there open to you and resources. Um, as a former competitor myself, I've always believed in adaptation. You and you improvise, you adapt, and you overcome. So it's the same thing with a strongman. You're hurting, find a way to get to that last rep or find a way to get to that last workout, and you'll get it done. Like
I
you said, that
and the thing, a lot of competitive um, weight lifting sports, whether it's actual Olympic lifting, powerlifting, and strongman, what you'll find is people in in the trenches with you will never laugh at you. They will never make fun of you when they see you putting in effort. And it's one of the things where I talk about it when I talk to people sometimes at the gym. And I have 2 points here. One is um, don't kid yourself and don't kid me. And then the other point is how to get respect in the sport. And being who I am, when I go to a comp, it's easier to point out to people in Florida who don't have my stuff do, because there's less people that don't. If I was to point at everybody who has one of my stuff, it would take forever, and it's probably like about 70% of any comp I go to in Florida. But just because of the amount of years I've been doing it, getting respect in comps, the easiest way to do that is to enter a weighted class, and it's also the best way to challenge yourself. You know, people sometimes do the same thing in powerlifting. When am I ready for a meet and that kind of stuff? When am I ready for a strongman? And I tell them you'll never be ready. I've done 8 or so comps now, and I was never ready for any of them. I've never for a second thought I am going to kill this. I am 100% ready. Let's do this. I always had that slight thing in the back of my head that said, you could have done more. You should have done more. And part of me hopes I never lose that, because while I'm training, it stays in the back of my head and it drives me, much like, I just described, where I need to do more. I have to do this properly, and this needs to be done. That way, the day of, I can give my best foot forward. But to compound with that, there's obviously weight classes, but there's also a novice class, which is open for, generally, it's open for competitors that have never entered a strongman competition before. Or it's also open to people that have competed in novice before, but not necessarily done so well. So let's say they went to novice, and let's say there was 14 people there, and they ended up 14 out of 14. A lot of people will do novice class, 2 or 3 comps, and then they'll move to a weighted class once they find it better. And I don't necessarily dog people that do that. I think it's a great way to sort of dip your feet, toes in the water and sort of decide. But I'm much more of a let's jump straight in and get it over with kind of guy. And what I've found too is I've competed in novice and I've competed in weighted classes. Now I only compete in weighted classes, obviously 200. You get way more camaraderie, way more respect in a weighted class from the promoters, from the person on the microphone, and from your fellow competitors when you're in a weighted class rather than when you're a novice. There's so much more brotherhood and camaraderie. I'm using that word, but it's the best word for it when you compete in an open weight class because there's more respect. A lot of people competing in an open weight class, and I'm one of them, cannot handle the weights that they're about to try to do. And they are forced to rise to the occasion. And there's just something about doing an event such as a yoke run, which is where you have a big thing on your back, and you stand up with it, you walk with it, or try to run with it if you can. And you look over when you finish the event and you realize the people you're competing against are the ones who are cheering the loudest because they understand the hell you just went through and they respect you. And I've noticed that doesn't really happen in a novice. And mostly it's just because you don't have a lot of the same people in the novice class. A lot of times it's new people. So if you enter novice 3 times in a row, you're probably going to be competing against 3 different groups of people. And your odds of coming away with a friend from that, I'm not going to say there's 0 chance, but I've only come across in 2 novice competitions I've done, I've only made 1 friend from both of those experiences. I noticed a lot of competitors in novice class, they're not as chatty either. A lot of them are either taking it too seriously, which is like, guy, you're supposed to be here to have fun. If you're not having fun, why are you doing it? And then there's people that aren't taking it seriously at all, and they still don't want to talk to you. So it's one of those things. You get a lot more respect. And to my first point about, I hate people that sort of lie to themselves, lie to me. I have had multiple people at RGM come up to me and be like, "Oh, well, I'm a strongman." I go, "Oh, cool. How many competitions have you done? When's your next comp?" "Oh, I've never competed before, and I'm thinking about doing this one." And okay, well, sign up. Thinking about doing it, just do it. "Oh, I don't know if I'm ready for it. This, that, and the other." You'll never be ready. Sign up, rise to the occasion. I promise you, you're capable of so much more than you know. And there's something about, I mean, in training for a frame deadlift at one of my comps, the opening weight was 450 pounds. The most I had done in training was 370. I ended up going up to 500 pounds. Never would have touched that. They had a squat event in that same competition, and the weight for the squat event was 350 pounds. And the most I had ever touched in training for a single rep was 300 pounds. That was it, and it almost killed me when I did it. Cut to the competition day, I did 15 reps with 350 pounds. There's something about the energy at a competition, all the people there, and look, there's some people that just aren't cut out for comps. They're just not cut out for competing. They get too nervous. They don't like all the people. They don't like pressure. I love being the center of attention. When I'm at a party, when I'm at a comp, I like to make everybody laugh. I like people to be smiling, and I like them to be smiling.
Hey,
and so I love competing.
that's all good.
And it's one of my pet peeves when people come up and sort of pretend like they're a strongman. And that's why when I say the word career in reference to myself, I always put it in quotes because sure, you can call it a career. I've had a few comps, but the reality is I'm just some novice, some not professional strongman who competes in competitions, and I'm not going to pretend that I'm at the same level as a pro strongman or somebody who's been in the trenches for 10 years. And I know guys like that, and I don't want to disrespect them by putting on a front as if I am one of them, as if I am, a true competitor like they are. 10 years from now, I'll have that same air. But, one of my favorite quotes from Tiger Woods or something, story, and basically it was Tiger Woods or some other golfer, and they basically said, why don't, I am the champ, I'm the best, blah, blah, blah. It's like, you're not the best when you say you're the best. You're the best when other people tell you.
Exactly. You got to back it up, you know?
Right.
If
And
you
so
said the
that's
best, you got to back it up out there on the.
that's how
But
I
oh
look at
man,
myself right now, and I don't want to disrespect the people that actually are there, and that's how I feel when I feel disrespected. I've been in it for a few years now, and when I get these people that have never even competed, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know about competing," it's like, well, I don't want to say I don't respect you, but stop pretending you're a strong man. Now, and to be fair, to be a strong man or a strong man in general doesn't mean you have to compete. You don't necessarily have to compete to be a strong man, right? Or strong woman. But it's certainly got to be a part of it, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, it's like you said, it's kind of a hobby you enjoy. Something that kind of keeps you grounded, especially now that we're dealing with this quote unquote virus. Sorry for saying quote unquote so much, but we got so many things that are kind of sketchy. But I mean, it's good to see you out there, man, and doing your thing, and and just really enjoying yourself. And one of the things I'd like to know what that is. Do you plan on? I mean, is this something you like to see yourself kind of doing for some time, and eventually, become a competitor or become a coach? Maybe. What are some of your goals with this? Like,
Yeah. So I have ridiculously grand goals. At some point, I would love to be the world's strongest man at 200 pounds. That would be awesome. Um, and I am going to push myself to get there as best as I can. And that's it's this grand goal, right? Set it way up high. Um, but I'm also a little bit too much of a realist, and I ground myself in reality as much as I can. Not because I can't handle the disappointment. I'm a grown man, but I want to be realistic, and I don't want to sell myself a bill of goods that I know I'm not producing. And that's just for me. That's not for other people to sell. And I've talked about it with the consistency. I will be more than content with my strongman career if I end up being 40. We're talking 10 plus years from now. 40 years old. I've been competing for, at that point, almost 20 years. And I've still not won what I wanted to. But I move over to Masters. And because I've been doing it for so long, my consistency, I can win Masters every year for 5 years. I am completely content with that being a realistic scenario that and I will not be on my deathbed crying if that doesn't. I won't be if it does or doesn't either way, but I'll be more than content with my career if 10, 20 years from now, I have tons of experiences and tons of amazing memories, and I can look back and say, okay, cool. When I was training for this comp, there was a younger guy at the gym, which I have that now. There's younger guys at the gym, and they're looking to me for advice on how to do a particular event, and I can share that knowledge and wisdom and help them become better than what they ever would have been without advice, not just necessarily my advice, but just advice in general. There's something that can't be replicated about giving back. And I mean, that's part of the reason I do the stones. It's a way for me, even if, let's say I get into a horrific car accident and lose all my limbs somehow, right? I still have that legacy of producing stones. Granted, only 5 or so years, but my stamp on the at least local strongman is, well, set in stone, if I can use that phrase. And so, I mean, it's tiny little things over time that have, again, cemented what will be my legacy. And I don't need everybody to know today, but there's going to come a point where I know I won't be able to compete. And I want to be able to look back and say, hey, you know, that's my stone there. I made that 10 years ago.
It's mine, only mine. You know,
But it's like, it'd be cool, hey, I
I
made
own
that
it.
10, 20 years ago, and now there's a 16-year-old kid doing it, and he's just getting in the sport, and I've got this, salt and pepper beard, and,
No
he's
hair.
looking at me like, shut up, old man. It's like, I remember the days, I'd be completely content. But, in terms of goals, if you want me to put something down in writing, I would say my main goal right now is to win a top Florida show and win an invite before I'm 30. That would be cool. I just turned 27, so I've got a couple years to get that done. Whether that's Florida's Strongest Man, which is put on by Strongman Corp, or Tampa Bay's Strongest Man. I don't think I'm going to win this year, but it's all experience. It's all just to get better. Consistency is key. Competition will teach me things about myself that I need to look at and improve. And so, I might not win this year. I might not even do that well this year, but that's okay because there's, I move forward. And so the goal is to win one of Florida's major shows, obviously in my weight class, and win an invite to nationals. In most shows, if you get second or third, sometimes even in a particular weight class, you'll get an invite to nationals because of it. That's not enough for me. I don't care if I get second place at Tampa Bay's next year, and it gets me an invite to nationals. That's not enough. I want to win the show and get an invite. If I just get an invite, I won't be satiated. I'll still be hungry. So that's the short term goal. And then I plan to go to nationals and just get completely wrecked by all those people. They're just freaks of nature. The only way I'm going to be able to compete with them is by just having tons of consistent training. And I never hope somebody falters or fails. I want to beat somebody at their best. And the only thing I can hope for beating some of those people, and this is just reality, is that they make some sort of mistake. Because when you get to a top level, and one of the guys who I met when I first started, Nate, he's the one who really got me into strongman. One of the best pieces of advice he said is, bro, if you want to win an event, all you got to do is not screw up for 10 seconds. Because most of the events take 10 to 12 seconds. He said, if you just don't screw up for like 10 to 12 seconds, I guarantee you'll get at least third. And he's not wrong. A lot of times, if you just finish a yoke walk, you never drop it, you just move the whole time, you might not be the fastest guy, but other people dropped it and slowed them down, or they picked it wrong when they first started and they have to drop it and repick it. So it's all about consistency, right? If you just don't screw up, you'll probably still get third. And that's a great place to be.
Hey man, that's all. Sounds like you've got a good head on your shoulders. Um, Everything seems to be falling into place, and you seem to really be enjoying yourself. And you have a plan B, which a lot of, unfortunately, in this day and age, a lot of young athletes don't think about. They don't think about, hey, what would happen if I get hurt? What am I gonna do? Some of them don't have that mindset to think, hey, if I do this as a backup, I'll be okay if I get hurt. If I'm out for a year or two, I got this to fall back on. Versus you get hurt, your hobby or your career's over, and you're gonna have to start from the ground up. I mean, one of my idols, Brian Cage, aka the effing machine, he's one of my idols because I don't know if you've seen him train, but he's crazy.
Yeah.
And you see him in AEW and the way wrestles. He's a freak in nature. He's an explosive athlete. Um, he started, he started, I think, was it back in '08? He started in competitions, and he shared a picture that was like, I remember being like broke and just like unmotivated and depressed, and he looked really small. And then he just used that adversity to kind of build himself up and become this huge superstar. And fortunately, I got to meet him at WrestleCon. And him and his wife now, Melissa Santos, they're really cool people. He's a really cool guy. Let me take a couple pictures with him, and I bought a couple of shirts. And ever since then, I've been a huge fan. You know, he's
Yeah, yeah, and you touch on something there. There's that quote, right? You can only make a diamond with pressure, and that fits a lot of athletic endeavors. You know, basically through adversity is the best way for you to get somewhere. And a big part of it, especially in fitness, it sounds cliche, but the journey is the important part. And I may have sounded a little too what's the word? I don't, I don't know what the right word is, but I don't want to sound too blasé about it earlier, where I described sort of sometimes I don't enjoy my training. But the reality is you need to love the process. And even though I don't like going in sometimes, on Tuesday after work, I'm tired, I don't want to be there, but I'm still there. And so if I miss a day at the gym, I honestly I feel almost guilt. And it's showing up on those days that suck that are going to make you better. And eventually it becomes such a part of your life that you can't help but do it. And one of the other things you touched on, what was it? When you were talking about the backup plans. I think, how do I put this? I will never begrudge an athlete for putting all their chips on the table with an insane goal and an insane plan. I mean, so many inspirational people have that same story where they didn't have a backup. And that's the reason they succeeded because they had no choice but to become the person they had to be in order to be the person they are today. And a lot of amazing success stories have that kind of wisdom behind them and that kind of drive and inspiration behind them. And my my legacy, if you want to call it that, includes the stone making, being Florida's #1 stone maker, not necessarily because it's a backup plan. And I'm sure it comes off that way, and on some level it probably is that, right? But it's not meant to be that. For me, it's looking to the future and understanding that at some point this party is going to end and I need to have a ride home, essentially. You know what I mean? And I want to make sure I have the pieces in place while I'm dumping all my chips on the table. Because at some point, there's going to come a comp where I will put everything I have into it. I will, it's death or this. And when that's over, whatever the outcome is, I want to make sure that I still have something afterward to look forward to. Not necessarily a fallback, but just something that when this goal is done, when I have finished this goal, I'm not empty. I think that's a problem with a lot of people that get obsessed with. I'll do something simple like weight loss. They want to, let's say they weigh 260 pounds, they want to jump down to 200. And eventually they get there. And then it's, what do I do now? I don't know what to do now. I have my goals are completed. And that's what I'm setting up. It's not necessarily a fallback. That makes sense. It's more of I have something to look forward to after I've beaten this goal. Because I don't want to be empty and searching for meaning when it's done. I want to already have my next thing ahead of me. I want to be 3 steps ahead. I'm playing chess with my goals. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, man. Like, you wanna make sure to establish a legacy. Like for me, I don't know if you knew, but from high school, I was being looked at to be the next Paralympic prospect. I was supposed to, eventually turn pro in my sport, but being at the Paralympic facility was all the way out in Tampa. Um, it was too far, and at the time, I couldn't really get around. So, and my body was just beat up from doing three different sports. So I called it a day, and I went to college. Got my degree, began teaching, and I still train a lot, and I still stay active. And there's always that thought in the back of my mind saying, could I do it one more time? One more time, just see how much I have left in the tank. Because
Right.
I don't have the speed I used to have anymore, but I've kind of compensated with it through my power. Because I can like I said, I can leg press uh, a total of I've done 180, 190. So I'm very, very, like, people don't realize, I may look disabled, I may look frail, as people put it in society, but I'm strong. I'm
Excuse me
strong,
for one
man.
second. I'm getting a phone call. Hang on. I think it's my food at the door. Hello? Yes. No, you're good.
Be right back, right after this commercial interruption, ladies and gentlemen.
And I'm back. Sorry, I ordered some food earlier, and they were supposed to be here a lot earlier, and then it got delayed and all that stuff. It's like, and then the ladies at the
And we
door.
are back with our regular scheduled programming, now in
Yes,
progress.
back. Hello.
All right, so yeah, like I said, I leg press near 200 pounds, and people look at me and they're like, how do you do that? I'm just like, I'm just nuts. Like, what about your body? And I'm like, you only have one body. You just gotta, you give it all we can take. And gone through, I've gone through rough patches as far as injuries, but I've been able to overcome it. That's something you have done so yourself, and it's uh, it's been a pleasure having to be able to listen to you and kind of highlight all these different aspects of your life and being a strong man. And just, I know you've overcome a lot as far as, your birth defect, and you've never let it stop you and define who you are. And I'm sure, I'm sure your significant other, of course, is proud of you for who you've become and the person you are. Because I know you went through a lot back in high school, and you never let it stop you. You know, I know your personal journey, so I know exactly what you've been through, and it's awesome, man. To see you be here today, be successful, have all these ambitions lined up. It's truly amazing. And eventually, I still have to get one of your shirts, so I don't know if you're still making them, but if you are, I will Venmo you. Just let me know how much you want.
Actually, it's funny you say that. I mean, first of all, you're gonna make me blush. Uh, Second of all, actually, if you want one of my shirts, I have an Amazon. They're actually on Amazon. You can buy a will development shirt, and then on the back it says "What's your excuse" on it. It's not as fun as this one. I had these years ago. I had a bunch of these made, and I gave a bunch of them away with some of my stone orders, just to kind of get the logo out there. I do have them up on Amazon. I recommend I believe they're Heather Gray athletic cut T-shirts. That's what I wear to the gym a lot of times. They breathe pretty well. Here in Florida, it sucks. But, they're nice. But yeah, definitely get the premium T-shirts. They're a lot nicer. They take about a week to get to you because I guess you order it and then they print it. But yeah, I have an Amazon storefront, and you can get a Will Development T-shirt. If you just go on Amazon and just search Will Development T-shirt, I think it comes up. If not, you can link my YouTube, and every one of my YouTube videos has the link to that store in the description video. So if anybody's interested in getting one for whatever reason,
Heard that, ladies and gentlemen. If anybody's interested in getting a shirt, head to Will Development on YouTube and also on Amazon. Search Will Development. Anyways, man, I'll hold you up because I know you're possibly starving and you're ready to tear down some food. So I appreciate you being on the show. I appreciate you sharing the experience, and you, like I said, your story is truly amazing. It's been a pleasure. Uh, it's been good catching up with you because we haven't spoken in like a year. Hopefully, once all this mess is over, we can actually meet in person. Unfortunately, we had to do the interview virtual, which we got to be safe. We got to distance, but hey, what can you do, right?
so
So,
we're
with that
doing what
being
we
said,
can. I mean, absolutely, man. Thank you for having me. Hopefully, hopefully your viewership doesn't get tired of my voice. 6 years later, by the way, 6 years I've been listening to myself on camera, and I still can't stand it. So if you're worried about not liking the sound of your voice on camera or whatever, you're just gonna have to get over it. You'll never trust me.
yeah, man, I've done this for about a year and a half, 2 years, and I have about 2,000 followers. So,
Yeah, you're
uh,
doing great, man. Yeah, yeah. Well,
it's,
you promote your stuff
I
so
promote, I
much better,
promote the,
for sure.
I promote the hell out of it. Like I'm
Yeah.
telling you, man, like I'm in so many podcasting groups and so many YouTube groups and so many disability groups too. Like, and I have fans from all over that will message me and they'll be like, "Hey, I've listened to your podcast. I like your stuff." And I've had people with kids and they're like, "Oh, my child has cerebral palsy, or my child has this, or my child has that." But listen to your stuff and it motivates me to be a better parent and to show my child that they're capable of achieving their own goals despite their own disabilities and, like you said, their own challenges. They can do it.
I mean,
Like I always said, if I can do it, so can you.
yeah. I mean, that's awesome, man. That's like, to me, that's, at some point I will gear my YouTube channel a little more towards that. Right now, I describe my YouTube channel as a journal for myself, where I can look back in 2 or 3 years and say, "Oh my God, look how far I've come," that kind of thing. And eventually, I want to gear it a little more towards maybe the inspirational side of things. Like, hey, you know what? Guess what? I am actually not just a normal dude. You know what I mean? I have these things that are wrong with me, but it's never held me back. All these years, and I've progressed, and I'm not special. You can do it too. And I mean, that's awesome. I love getting messages from people every once in a while where it's like, "Hey, I just checked out your video, or your channel, and I saw this video. I have this or that, and you've reminded me that I'm not just some broken person or whatever. I can do it too." It's like, yeah, you can. I'm not that special. I'm not special at all. Really. Just do it, and then you become special. You know what I mean? That's how you become special, by being a normal person. And to me, it's not that hard in theory, but in practice, that's where it becomes challenging. I mean, that's awesome, man. I thank you for having me. You butter me up a little too much, in my opinion. You make me sound so much better than I am, but flattery will get you
Hey, man, this is, like I said, this is all about, this is was your episode, you're the guest, so we wanted to hear about you. So that was what it's all about, and like I said, again, I appreciate you. Thank you for being on the show. And guys, if you wanna listen to this episode should be up in about, I'd say, give or take 2 weeks. So towards the end of October, um, you can find me on, so you can find it on Cerebral Palsy and Fitness podcast YouTube channel. I will also post it on my Anchor, and it'll be up on Spotify, iTunes, and any other major podcasting or video site you can think of. minus the dark web. We're not going to put anything on the dark web. Right? It's nothing too that. But as always, this is David Figueroa signing off. And if I can do it, so can you.
What's your excuse?
And what's your excuse? Remember, guys.
Stop the recording now?
Yeah, stop recording. You're good, man.